Good morning, everybody. Frank here with the National Real Estate Post. Brian's not here. He was down in Irvine yesterday with the Mortgage Professional Magazine guys at their great event down there, and he's going to be in Dallas on the 10th. And you and I are going to be in Orlando with the Mortgage Professional Magazine event on the 15th. So we really want to encourage you guys to come on out. You're going to learn a bunch of stuff and have a great time. So all you got to do is click the banner that you see on the screen right now over on your right and get the details. With that, good morning, Barry Habib. How are you?
Good morning. It's really great to see you, brother.
You too, man. Hey, want to chat real quick. There was a statement that you had chatted with me about from a Bill, what's his, Dunkelberg?
Dunkelberg.
Bill Dunkelberg. And it was quite more of a rant, as you said, about what's going on, with small businesses, their sentiment. He basically does takes the pulse of small businesses on a regular basis. Why don't you tell us who he is real quick and kind of what his most recent statement said, just so that our guys can hear it. And then also understand, guys, he takes the pulse of small businesses, and as a loan originator or a real estate agent, you're essentially your own little small business. So this definitely, I think, pertains to you. So, Barry, go ahead. What did Bill have to say?
Absolutely. The NFIB, National Federation of Independent Business, they do a survey of small businesses to get their sentiment. He reports on that monthly, and Bill Dunkelberg really kind of went off on a rant. Perhaps some of it is his own frustration, but clearly he is hearing this from small businesses. And Frank, you and I talked about this. You can't go anywhere without people talking about it. So you go into a restaurant,
Right.
You overhear conversations about people's dissatisfaction with what's going on. And this rant that you point to really is something that, you wonder about this because it shows the lowest sentiment within a couple of years now about businesses' optimism going forward. And it has a lot to do with this unfortunate set of circumstances that we find ourselves in, with fears about terrorism, fears about what might go on, the direction of the leadership, and questions, really a lot of very deep questions that he brings up about the administration and our president. I mean, look, I don't want to get political here. This is
Right.
his words and what he's feeling from small businesses. But there seems to be a huge tone, the loudest tone I've heard, of dissatisfaction and concern and perhaps fear amongst people. And that's not a good thing for businesses to thrive.
Right, including, of course, our business and our industry. So hopefully, things can calm down, because if we see another incident or two coming up in the near future, they could have a pretty big impact on not only our industry, but the economy as a whole.
Yeah, and look, heaven forbid that. And look, Frank, you and I, we have to talk about this because it's our job. I mean, the last thing in the world that you and I are trying to do is minimize the human impact on this. I mean, that's what we're both, and everyone listening is certainly most deeply concerned with. But it's our responsibility to try to focus on how would this affect this business-wise. The answer is not good.
Yeah.
Really not good. It would not be good.
Yeah.
I remember in 2002, horrible events in Washington, D.C. with two snipers. And I was down there at a speaking engagement, and people were saying they were afraid to go to malls and this and that. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So God forbid you don't want something like this to occur. Let's hope that maybe because people are waking up to it more, that there is some action that's taken or some change that's taken that gets this pointed in the right direction again.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll try and link people to the quote that Bill made down below so that they can check it out for themselves and do with it what you will. But let's shift gears real quick. Tell us about the Feds. What's going on?
Well, we're going to see a Fed rate hike on December 16th of a quarter point, and it's been a long time, so people are oftentimes in a position where they say, what does that mean? Does that mean that interest rates are going up? People who are looking to purchase homes may not be familiar with what this means. The media certainly gets it wrong. So, and the media already poo-poos the housing market at every chance they get, it seems, right? So we need to kind of explain to customers and help our real estate agents out with understanding that this may actually not be such a bad thing. And I want to show you something very quickly, if we can here,
Sure.
Some history. Because it has been a long time, let's go back to the history of Fed rate hikes. The last time we started a Fed rate hike cycle, it lasted from 2004 to 2006, so 9 years ago. So here we go. In 2004, 10-year Treasury was at 4.73, and the Fed funds rate was at 1. Today's Fed funds rate is like at a 0.25%, let's call it. So as the Fed started hiking, they hike 3 times, and they take the Fed funds rate up from 1 to 1.75, so up 0.75%. Guess what? 10-year Treasury drops 0.5%. So
Interesting.
While mortgage rates aren't in lockstep, they're going to follow somewhat closely. Mortgage rates drop 0.5%. Fed hikes another 3/4 through 3 more hikes that they do. So now the Fed funds rate's up to 2.5, a 1.5% jump. Well, mortgage rates still down 0.5%. And as you can see here, it even gets down lower. It dropped from roughly 4.73 down to 4%, while the Fed was up to 3% on their rate hikes, or up
Gotcha.
2% rate hikes. And they finish up 2 years later at 5.25, or up 4.25%. And mortgage rates only moved slightly. The 10-year Treasury only slightly higher. And that's after this huge move up. Now, Frank, I want to also show you more recent data. You can consider removing quantitative easing as a Fed tighten. So just in January of 2014, so almost 2 years ago, the 10-year Treasury was at 3%, and the Fed began their tapering, so they exited QE. When they were done with it in October, almost November 1st, so let's call it a full 10 months later, the 10-year Treasury had moved from 3% to 2.29. And Frank, this is with the 10-year Treasury today being in the range of, I would say, close to 0.75% lower than where we were when we saw the Fed begin their tapering.
Gotcha.
So the point being here, Frank, is that we are looking certainly at a Fed rate hike. But if it's perceived that the Fed could be combating inflation with this, inflation is the real enemy of interest rates,
Right.
you could see mortgage rates drop a little bit.
Wow. That's awesome. That's great news, man. It's good to know. And so I think as mortgage guys out there, get this information to your real estate partners, get it to your buyers. Great stuff. And thanks for sharing as always, Barry.
And you guys get a free link to come on board at MBS Highway and check this out every day, especially into that Fed rate hike. Why not have this information every day with charts to share with your customers?
I'm going to put that link right down below.
That's very kind of you, sir.
So that they can get that as well. So thanks for joining us today, Barry. Really appreciate it. You guys have a great day. Forward, share, subscribe. Leave us your comments. Really want to hear your comments. Just think, especially on the first half of the show, what your thoughts are on that. I think we'll get some good.
I'd love to hear what people are thinking.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your candid comments. I mean, just you listen to some of the or you read some of the Facebook posts these days. They are pretty interesting to say what people are thinking.
To say the least. All right, you guys have a great day, Barry. As always, great to chat with you. We'll see you on the 15th in Orlando, bud.
Hopefully a lot of the folks listening will be there too.
I hope so. We'll see you guys later.